The Jazz Mini is a beautiful and compact aluminum stand for your smartphone that even holds tablets up to 8 inches. Click now to learn more. Welcome to the first in a series of desktop speaker reviews. I've been at work on these for quite some time, and your feedback is welcome on how we can continue to improve them. So first up is the very famous and very sexy Bowers and Wilkins MM-1s. Starting off, we've got the I/O. They've got an integrated DAC, which means they'll run off a single mini USB connector to your PC or Mac, but if you prefer, you can also use a 3.5mm analog connector, which will override the other audio source. The left speaker connects to the right via a hardwired cable that then plugs into the bottom of the back of the right and routes through the rubber base of the speaker. Detachable would have been better for me on this side, but I guess it's not that big of a deal. You would never run the left speaker by itself. Each speaker has a premium feeling cloth material covering the business stuff, aluminum accents, and clearly imprinted R and L indicators to show which speaker goes where, with simple Bowers and Wilkins branding and a grippy rubber base that isn't going to go anywhere. There is no doubt that they're stylish. I actually didn't appreciate how great they look until I set them up. I'm doing all of my listening tests on my XPS 12 2-in-1 Ultrabook, and man, when you combine one sexy minimalistic piece of hardware with another one, it gives you a much better appreciation for the thought that went into the design of these things. With style out of the way though, I don't feel ergonomics are a very strong point. The right speaker contains the DAC, amp, and controls, but while I appreciate its simplicity and clean looks, I feel like some of the functionality is compromised. I mean, the headphone port is actually behind the speaker on the back, and the power button, which also serves as a mute button, and volume control, while being sexy and built into the aluminum strip that goes around, when you push on the sides, you actually physically move the speaker, so I found that you'll pretty much have to use the fortunately included handy-dandy remote if you're making any changes to, volume or power, or actually you can change tracks and stuff on it as well, so that's a fairly nice inclusion. Now, getting into the listening tests, maximum volume is a weak point of the MM-1s. Cranking them past around 70 to 75% volume on my PC tanks the sound quality. I mean, there's not crackling or some other kind of obvious distortion, and I'm not sure if it's a power limiter or something else, but the mids seem to completely disappear and the effect actually persists if you quickly lower the volume to a more reasonable level. It takes a few seconds to recover, and then they sound good again. They're fine for sitting at your PC listening to music while getting some work done, but if you're expecting to bother your neighbors with them, then you better sneak into their house, tape the MM-1s to their unsuspecting heads, and then start rocking out if you want it to have that sort of effect. More listening tests, where I really felt like these shone for me was their stereo imaging when listening to music. Coming into this series of reviews, my experience has been with mostly computer speakers, notably the Klipsch Bermuda Ultra 5.1s, Razer Makos, and Corsair SP2500s, and I've just never been able to figure out what the heck people are talking about when they're like, oh yeah, the singer's voice should sound like it's coming out of an imaginary center channel. Well, now I know they perform incredibly well in that way, and it really surprised me that I was getting a sound like that out of something this small. Speaking of sounds out of something this small, the bass performance of the MM-1s actually surprised me as well. It does feel a bit one-dimensional, as if a lot of engineering went into reproducing a limited, albeit well-controlled and punchy, range of lower frequency sound, but that they just couldn't do more than that due to the size and design constraints. I mean, this was expected though. Size trumps all when it comes to making big sounds and low frequency sounds, but it just ended up being disappointing sometimes because the highs sound so clean and detailed that in quieter parts of the track, as it builds towards a crescendo, and the hairs start to rise on the back of your neck and you're expecting a wave of immersion in the music, and then they fall short in that way. It's like a sneeze that's coming and doesn't. I mean, I don't know. My music just sounds less full than I'm used to hearing it, and forget about action games and movies. There's simply no rumble to them. So I guess this negative point, and it is a negative point, but it could also be seen as a positive point though. I mean, I'm criticizing a product for being dramatically better than I expected in one area, which drew my attention to its shortcomings in another where it would have been physically impossible for it to really be much better. So it might be unfair, but it just doesn't change the listening experience. Other than the aforementioned power limiter issue, mids and highs performed very well, and at reasonable levels, they really do sound great, with a wide variety of different music. music. Highs in particular, again, we're just plain clearer and more accurate sounding than anything else in my upcoming review series. Female vocalists just sing through these. I mean, duh, they're singing, but they sound really good is my point. Males do get lost a little bit by comparison, and if you want to get the most out of your rap collection, then you might want to grab some Bose Companion 5s instead, but that doesn't change that the MM-1s really surprised me. All right, so we're getting close to the end now, but before I get into the conclusion, I do want to address something I've seen many comments about in user reviews of these speakers. Earth to the people buying these. Yes, the right speaker gets warm on the top, and it's okay. Who cares? I mean, what are you doing, licking it? It is smart design to use a stylish aluminum construction as a heatsink, and that's all they're doing here. There's an amp in there. So anyway, there are much more valid complaints to make about the MM-1s, the most important of which are their dated feature set and that bizarre power limiter feature that limits them to about 75% volume. So I think the real conclusion for this product comes down to how you're going to listen to them. Whether they live in an apartment or not, some people don't itch to turn the volume knob clockwise. Some people want what looks good next to their MacBook and will pay handsomely for something that does, and if it also performs pretty well, then great. But while I understand I'm not the target customer for the MM-1s, and dropping $500 on something that doesn't have a subwoofer in the name of getting something that delivers accurate, well-balanced sound, very little cable clutter, an admittedly beautiful ID, and a super tiny form factor is just not my thing, I do see why someone would want the MM-1s and actually be very happy with them. For those folks, I will say this, though. The Simple Audio Listens are also worth a look. They are bigger and subjectively not as good looking, but they perform similarly in the mid-range, deliver stronger and more detailed bass, and while they, and everything else in this roundup, lack the same crystal clear detail in the highs, they sound fuller, go much louder without strange behavior, and are a more modern design with their touch-sensitive controls and built-in Bluetooth connectivity. With that out of the way, there are other combinations that the bang for the buck crowd will be interested in for about $500 compared to either of those two, but I'm going to make you stay tuned for the rest of the series if you want all of the answers. Speaking of the bang for the buck crowd, we have a new sponsor in this cookie jar. Ooh, sound effects. Hulu Plus hooked me up. There, that was my joke. Hulu Plus hooked me up with an extended trial. Normally it's only 1 week, and I get to give you guys one too. Head over to huluplus.com/Linus or click the link in the video description and you can try it out for 2 weeks. Make sure to get the plus part in there. Unlike regular Hulu, Hulu Plus is available on devices like phones, game consoles, and streaming boxes and gives you access to tons of wicked content. They've got current seasons of kids shows like Shark Tank, The Vampire Diaries, and Sleepy Hollow, and back catalogs of your favorite shows like Doctor Who, South Park, and American Dad. Okay, those are my favorite shows, not yours, and admittedly those first 3 weren't kids shows, but it's not like I see you making a list and sending it to me. Why are you people so critical? I'm trying to do something here. Anyway. You can watch stuff you're familiar with already, or check out exclusive originals like Deadbeat, a comedy about a pot smoker who talks to ghosts, which is available starting April 9th. I haven't watched it yet, though, obviously, unless I could film this in the future and come back and release it now. Or did I? But anyway, I think the bottom line is at $7.99 per month, it is a lot less expensive than all the Doctor Who swag and cookies you're going to need every time they change doctors and mess up your world while you get used to the new one, and the 2-week trial is free. So check it out at huluplus.com/Linus. Guys, like and share this video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, and leave a comment on the Linus Tech Tips forum linked in the video description if you want to discuss this product or you have constructive criticism for me and my team. Also linked in the video description is our support link with options to buy t-shirts, give us a monthly contribution, or give us a kickback whenever you buy random junk on Amazon. Check it out if you enjoy our videos, it helps us a whole bunch. And as always, guys, thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.